I'm Samuel. Today we are coming to talk about design process. Design process. You see, design process is one of the interesting topics that needs to be well treated very well for you to understand. Because you see, as you are seeing it, it is very simple, right? Look at this. When we talk of design process refers to the stages that a designer goes through when solving a problem. So assuming you are the designer, you know the main purpose of a designer or main aim of a designer is to produce artifacts that can be used to solve problems. So if you are being invited to a particular classroom where there is no unit for them to keep items, let's say books, very good. They don't have any unit to keep their books in it. If we invite you to come and solve this problem, you cannot just come and solve the problem. But there are some stages you have to go through when solving the problem. So these stages that you've been going through are what we call design process. Do you understand? So design process, it refers, just make it that way, it refers to the stages. It refers to the stages a designer goes through. A designer goes through when solving a problem. When solving a problem. Do you understand? So any stage that you will go through, or the stages that you will go through when solving a particular problem in a given environment is what we term as what? Design process. Do you understand? So some of the stages, as a designer, when we invite you to come and solve a problem, the first stage that you are going to identify is what we term as what? Situation. You should be able to know the problem. So the very problem in the existing environment is what we call situation. So as a designer, you cannot just come to the class and start solving problem. Do you understand it? Na preoccupy who start here and solve problem. Problem. So you should be able to identify the problem. So the problem in the community or the problem in the environment that needs to be solved is what we term as what? Situation. So every designer has to first identify the situation. Do you understand it? Great. So the moment you identify the situation, you will definitely conceive a plan of what to do to solve the problem. So what you intend doing to solve the problem is what we call design brief. Design brief. Design brief. Do you understand it? So the moment we invite you to come and solve a problem, let's say in your community, your mom has been finding it difficult to prepare her banku. You will see her standing preparing banku, which is not good. So because of that, she has been complaining of what? Waste problem. So the moment you come across a problem like this, you begin to think and realize that then she will need a stool, a kitchen stool to sit on. So you have only conceived, you haven't produced that unit. You've only thought of producing it. So after you identify the problem, that idea of you getting this to solve the problem is what we call design brief. Do you understand it? So design brief refers to what the designer intends doing to solve the problem. Do you understand it? Good. So after he coming out with this design brief, the next step he will be going through is what we call analysis. Analysis. You see, under analysis, over here, let's assume that the very people, let's come back to the classroom. As you being the designer, you want to design and make a unit for a student or for students in Form 1 to keep their books in it, meaning they don't have any unit to keep their books in it, right? And we know very well that that very unit is a cupboard. but we usually don't state cupboard, so you have to make it design and make a unit. Good. So here lies the case. Those people in the class, or the very people you want to design this unit for, let's assume they don't have any idea. Do you understand? They don't have any idea about the unit you want to design and make. But you, the designer, you know it. So those people will ask a lot of questions in regards of the unit that you want to make. Do you understand it? So the very questions that they will be asking, some of those questions, we call them analysis questions. So they are asking these questions to enable them know more about the unit you are going to produce for them. Do you understand it? Very good. So you could say that your first step, you have to identify the problem, think of what to do. Questions will come in regards of the unit you want to make. Do you understand it? And that is what we call analysis. Analysis. Good. Now take note. Some of the questions, let me give you some examples of some of the questions that one may ask. One may ask, what materials will you use to make the unit? Or in other words, what material will be used in making the unit? That's a very nice question. Then another one may also ask, who is going to design and make the unit? It's also a very good question. So we have a lot of questions under analysis, which I believe that one is going to be well treated in our next lesson. But what you have to understand is some of the analysis questions do base on some factors. So factors on which the analysis questions do base on. So let's say, what material will be durable for making the unit? This question is under material. And then another one may also ask, what will be the cost of the unit? What will be the cost of labor? Do you understand it? Great. So with this one, it is under what? This question is under cost, or let's say economic. Do you understand it? So there are a lot of questions that they will ask. So another factor on which the analysis question can base on is, let's say, we have ergonomic. With the ergonomic, one will ask, where is the unit going to be used? Where is the unit going to be used? So with this one, or who is going to use the unit? So you see that with this one, under ergonomic, you should know that it always talks about the one going to use the unit. Do you understand it? Don't worry, just first understand the factors, and I believe strongly that in our next lesson, which I'm going to talk about only analysis, we will talk more about some of the questions based on all these factors. Do you understand? So for now, you just get the stages and get some of the factors that the questions do base on perfectly. Do you understand? Very good. So we have a lot of factors. So this one is about the material that you are going to use to make a unit. And then this one is about the cost. If the unit is going to be expensive, you have to let us know. If it's not expensive, let us know. All these ones are under what? Economics. Very good. So with this one, so you can see that sometimes economic and economics, it do confuses people. Economic and economic. Take note, I said this one is it's about the money involved, the cost involved. So sometimes you either see cost or economic. So in order not to be confused, when you see CO, so cost, do you understand? Very good. So with this, in due time, I'll talk about it again in our next lesson. Good. So after all these questions, they will ask the designer, you being the designer, they will ask you a lot of questions. So some of the questions, sincerely speaking, you wouldn't be able to answer all instantly. So there will be a necessity for you to go and do what we call research or investigation. So you see, after you taking the analysis questions, some are not supposed to be answered instantly. Do you understand it? Great. So what you have to do is, you have to go and do what we call investigation. 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 Great. So after you carrying out your investigation, definitely you are going to get answers to them. Do you understand it? Good. So those answers that you are going to provide, that's the satisfied results that you are going to provide. We term those ones as what? Specification. Specification. Specifications. So we are now on the fifth stage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you understand? Great. So we have about 11 stages. We have about 11 stages, but we would like to take them one after the other, or let's say bit by bit. So today in our lesson, let's get to this point. We'll end it here, but in our next lesson, we'll make sure we will complete it. Thank you very much and have a lovely